Hey guys, Kendall Clark here with another Ableton video tutorial. Today's video will show you two ways to add wet-dry control over effect plugins like iZotope's Stutter Edit. This video expands on the techniques mentioned in the last video, in which I outlined a method for reappropriating your Crossfader as a master wet-dry control for your return effects. So if you haven't already done so, please watch the Crossfader as a master dry-wet for return effects video. The audio used in this video comes from the clips section in Live's library under construction kits. Plugins like Stutter Edit are unique in that they use a MIDI keyboard to trigger different effect presets. As it has no master dry-wet parameter, Stutter Edit was initially designed to live on the master channel for live performance. Note that Stutter Edit does have dry-wet control, but it varies from patch to patch. There is no single master dry-wet knob. In its default state, Stutter Edit passes the dry signal, and when you play a MIDI note, it switches to 100% wet until you release that note. This is part of what makes it such a musically expressive effect. So when I trigger it, now placing Stutter Edit on the master channel may be fine for you, but I found that it's a little abrasive for my taste, so I like to utilize a return channel to give me a little more control over the effect. The problem with placing it on a return channel is that there's no way of putting it in gate mode like Live's beat repeat, or in 100% wet mode like you would if it was a delay or a reverb. Luckily there is a way to work around this. Let's see how it's done. So as you can see, I've moved Stutter Edit to a return channel, and I have my accompanying MIDI channel to send data from my keyboard to Stutter Edit. Since we want Stutter Edit to act like it's on the master channel, you'll need to send all of your dry channels to Stutter Edit's return track. So Stutter Edit is on send A. I'm going to select all of my channels, not my buses. Go to send A. There we go. As I mentioned earlier, since Stutter Edit passes the dry signal in its default state, once I move my crossfader all the way to the right, you'll still hear the dry signal being passed. Apart from not being 100% wet signal on the right side of the crossfader, this duplication of the dry signal will cause an unwanted signal gain and phase issues, so we need to figure out a way to mute Stutter Edit when it's off and unmute it when it's on. Next, we need to create a second MIDI channel and title it Stutter Edit Gate. Open the I/O settings, and on the Stutter Edit Gate channel, set the MIDI from to Stutter Edit MIDI. Make sure and put it in input monitoring mode so it's receiving MIDI from Stutter Edit MIDI channel. Next, go to the browser and grab an instance of Operator, and put it on the Stutter Edit Gate channel. The default setting of Operator is fine, but you'll want to go to Oscillator A's settings and enable the Fixed button. This causes Operator to only produce one frequency no matter which key we press. Since we are using Operator as a gate trigger, we want a consistent signal across the entire range of the keyboard, and Fixed mode will do just that. Listen as I play a series of different MIDI notes on my keyboard. So now when we press a key on our MIDI controller driving Stutter Edit, it should trigger both Stutter Edit and the Operator synth. But we don't want to hear the operator, so let's change the I/O routings to sends only. Now we're not going to send this channel anywhere, but it's just going to make sure that no audio from the operator is sent to the master. There we go. Now we need to go back to the Stutter Edit return channel and place one of Live's gate effects after Stutter Edit. Click on the triangle button at the top to show the sidechain parameters. First, we'll need to enable sidechain mode. Then under Audio From, select Stutter Edit Gate Pre-Effects. Now you'll need to press a note on your keyboard to set the threshold. You can see the signal coming in here, and we need to pull the threshold down to make sure it's triggering. That should be good. The default attack and release settings are fine. Finally, set the attenuation parameter all the way down to -infinity to ensure that no unwanted audio is passing. So now when you place your crossfader all the way to the right, you should hear nothing until you press a key on your MIDI keyboard. Let's demo that. there's our stutter edit. Experiment with the different fade settings on the crossfader to find which one works best for you. You do that by right-clicking on the crossfader, and then all of these are different fade settings. But now that I have stutter edit on the crossfader, I have a little bit more control over the effect. If you don't have a crossfader or you don't want to use a return channel, you can perform the exact same technique using an audio effects rack on the master channel. First, we need to add an empty effects rack to the master channel. Open up the chain list and create 2 chains. Name them wet and dry. Show the chain select window and adjust the zones to create a crossfade. To do this, first select both chains and drag the zones the full width of the chain select region. As you can see, the zones have 2 sections, the dark blue and the light blue part. Drag the top sections of the zones to create the fade. Make sure the dry channel is full volume on the left side, and the wet channel is full volume on the right side. You'll want to experiment with different settings. Next, we need to move stutter edit and the gate over to the wet channel in our effects rack. So we'll select both of these. Put them on the wet channel. On the stutter edit MIDI channel, you'll need to change the MIDI to select master and stutter edit. Also double check that the gate is still sidechained to stutter edit gate pre-effects. And we can double check that by playing our MIDI keyboard. Good, still gating. Finally, map the chain selector control to a macro by right clicking in the chain select ruler bar and assigning it to a macro. We'll do macro 1. Now you have control over the mix of the stutter edit effect, just as we did previously using the return channel. I personally prefer to use the return channel method. I use an APC40, and if I use the master channel method, that means that my device control knobs on my APC40 must be focused on the master channel in order to use the effect. You could of course hard map the macro to a dedicated knob or fader to remedy this. But the other good thing about using the return channel method is that if I want to create an improv type build section, I can just throw my crossfader all the way to the right and play with the delays and reverbs as well as the stutter edit. One more thing. Make sure you double check what MIDI note range stutter edit is using. My current patch is active from C0 to G♯7. And just to check that, let's go 100% wet. And let's noodle around on our keyboard to just to double check and see where it's inactive. Okay, so you can hear that B -1 is inactive on stutter edit, and it's letting the dry signal pass through. We need to use an instrument rack to filter the note range of our operator triggering the gate. Go to the stutter edit gate channel and group the operator into an instrument rack. You can do this by selecting operator and hitting Apple G. Next, show the chains, and then you'll want to click on the key tab. We're going to adjust the key zone to match what we said, C0 to G♯7. So now if I accidentally end up outside of stutter edit's range on my MIDI keyboard, my gate won't open, causing an increase in gain or phasing issues. I hope you found this method helpful. Remember that this technique can be used with any effect similar to stutter edit, like Instajungle, the Finger, or Effectrix. That about wraps it up for this video, and we'll see you next time.